Ohio likes the status quo. Joining us on Columbus on the Record this week, Laura Bischoff, State House reporter for the Dayton Daily News. Julie Carr-Smythe, State House correspondent for the Associated Press. Terry Casey, Republican strategist. And Sam Gresham of Common Cause, Ohio. Because of term limits, there were only 2 incumbents on the statewide ballot this November. Ohioans could not re-elect many candidates, so instead they largely re-elected the party in charge. Republicans swept all 5 executive offices, including the big prize, the governor's office. Mike DeWine rolled up big margins in rural counties to defeat Richard Cordray by 182,000 votes, or 5 percentage points. After a tough campaign, both candidates called for unity.
Are not solvable just by one party. They're not solvable just by one person. They're solvable by all of us pulling together and working together, and that is my commitment to each and every one of you.
I believe that successful politics is not always defined by the outcome of an election. The reason we do this is because we want to improve people's lives. And I believe the work that all of you have done throughout this campaign has changed the conversation in ways that will dramatically improve the lives of people all over Ohio.
Laura Bischoff, in the end, what was the key for Mike DeWine?
Well, I think that Ohio likes its incumbents. I think that the economy is pretty solid, so there really wasn't a lot of incentive to change teams. And I kind of like what Julie said at a previous conference, that Ohio kind of went for its comfort food. You know, it's mac and cheese or meatloaf and mashed potatoes kind of agenda. They knew what they were getting. And also, I thought that it was one of these elections where it was surprising but not surprising, in that it was surprising because the polls showed that it was supposed to be tight. And then it turns up a big roll up for the Republican Party, which is what usually happens. So that part was not surprising.
But I think turnout was one of the big factors, because this was the highest gubernatorial year turnout in Ohio history, and everybody was saying it will be a low turnout. They're worried about people turning out. They turned out, and part of the problem for Richard Cordray is it wasn't just the cities that turned out. It was as big or bigger, a lot of the medium-sized, the rural counties, and part of that's because Mike DeWine in the last 2 weeks was in 86 of the 88 counties. A lot of people missed what was happening in the grassroots level.
Richard Cordray beat John Kasich's numbers from 2010 by 116,000 votes. Cordray got 116,000 more votes than Kasich did in 2010 when he was first elected. So he got his vote out for the most part, over 2 million votes.
He really did. But as Terry says, out in those rural areas, DeWine was pulling 72, 73%.
Right.
In the Mahoning Valley, Cordray won, for example, in Mahoning County, but by 10,000 votes less than Ted Strickland had won it. So for whatever reason, the white working class vote was split more than it had been.
I don't think that's an accident, because it's happened consecutively over several last elections, where the high turnout performance in the rural area is occurring. That's not because I like you or I am in love with the candidates, because candidates really wasn't that lovely. It's because people were out there in the field ginning that up.
I mean, not too long ago, Mike DeWine was not liked in the rural areas. You drive out 70 during the, it was always, get rid of DeWine, those signs. Remember those signs as you drove out through, Madison County and Clark County. So he won them over eventually.
Well, 2 things happened. Franklin County has created a Democratic Party that can turn out the vote. The Ohio Democratic Party, not in Franklin County, but in the state of Ohio, has found a way to turn out the vote, and that's what they did.
Right, and the reason that I use this idea of mac and cheese was that, it's a tense time. There's a lot of fear in this election. There's a lot of uncertainty. There are still a lot of people unemployed in the state. I mean, unemployment numbers don't always show those who have dropped out of the workforce, and they were looking at familiar names like Mike DeWine, Sherrod Brown, and they were pulling the lever for those folks. It was interesting. We'll talk later about the Supreme Court races, but when you look at turnout, those Supreme Court races did show that, there were Democrats voting in high numbers.
And I thought that Mike DeWine did a pretty good job of kind of threading the needle on the Trump issue. because he didn't, or, you know, not until later in the campaign did he appear on stage with him at the
very last
rally.
day, yeah.
Very last day. And he managed to get the Kasich endorsement. And so he had kind of both those factions of the party, he brought them together without alienating either side.
The Kasich endorsement came late, Terry. Was that the key? Because there were some polls that even had Cordray leading the last week of the election. And I was hearing that even internals were showing Cordray leading, but Kasich's endorsement came in like the last 10 or 12 days. How much of a factor was that?
It was a factor, but I mean, there's several different factors, and in a way, this was a close election, 4 points, but he won by twice the margin that John Kasich did in 2010. But again, the turnout and putting the coalition together, and you've also got to look at some mistakes that Cordray made. He jumped on that issue one thing before I think he looked carefully at it, and that hurt him a lot because there were some rural counties out there where DeWine got 78 or 79% of the vote. I mean, that is huge, and the number of
It's
counties.
unbelievable there.
Absolutely, but part of it's the motivation, and also you've got to give Trump credit both for motivating Democrats and motivating Republicans, because that helped, I think, fire up. I mean, Ohio's turnout, it was around 55% when you deduct out the 300,000 that were taken off the rolls and put back on. But Ohio's turnout was much higher than around the nation.
Right, and I think that the Republican Party, you know, they like to call themselves the Big Tent. This year, the Big Tent was, I'm going to be both for Trump and against Trump, and they got both those Republicans.
Was Richard Cordray tough enough? Some
I don't
Democrats
think-
were grumbling that he didn't fight back strong enough. He didn't use the ECOT charter school issue enough.
I'll agree with they didn't. They didn't use the ECOT scandal, and I'll use that word, enough because they didn't push it out there. I don't know if it's toughness. I think his stock in trade is that he's smart. His stock in trade is not that he's a tough guy. And I don't think you could have manufactured that during the campaign, because there were just too many things going on.
Well, and you look at sort of the one word we would use for Cordray. At times he was trying to be the tough, then at times he was the nerd, and then at times he was the intellect, and at times he was, you know, I'm in the plaid shirt and out here with the workers, and that was part of the downfall too. Is just, you know, where's that one slogan you can grab onto?
And I don't think the Democrats across the board did a very good job of working with the material that they did have. I think the ECOT message, they had a hard time kind of translating that for regular Ohioans who kind of like, ECOT, what is this?
We knew around here what it was, but there were other parts of the state.
And they didn't capitalize on the payday lending scandal like I thought they would have. You know, payday lending stores are much more visible. There's more payday lending stores than there are McDonald's in Ohio.
All right, we're going to get to our next topic. Sherrod Brown bucked the Trump-fueled Republican rout. The liberal Democrat turned Northeast Ohio blue again to win a third term in Washington. Brown defeated Congressman Jim Renacci by 6 percentage points. That's a 14-point swing from 2 years ago when another populist carried Ohio.
You all showed the country that progressives can win, and win decisively in the heartland. And you showed the country by putting people first and by honoring the dignity of work. We carry a state that Donald Trump won by almost double digits.
Julie Carr Smythe, if Richard Cordray had gotten the same number of votes as Sherrod Brown, he'd be governor. Why did Brown do so much better than Cordray?
It's this dignity of work issue, and on that, he did overlap some Trump supporters. Obviously, he and Donald Trump have some similarities on their view about tariffs, some of their messaging around the manufacturing base and the importance of things like the coal industry. They resonated in Sherrod Brown's race. In the Cordray race, you know, we didn't see a lot of advertising on things like what he was going to do with the coal industry or with the manufacturing base. There were a lot of really elaborate policy proposals, but those weren't really grabbing on in terms of the campaign trail.
But I would argue that Sherrod should have won much bigger. He outspent Renacci probably about 10-1. Renacci never established statewide name ID, and Sherrod should have definitely done better. And election night, he said, I'm a progressive, but most all the campaign, he was acting like the guy that loves the dogs. His hair isn't combed very well. He saves washing machine plants. He ran one campaign to the middle, but now he's back to being a liberal.
That
And
happens all the time. But are Republicans mad at Jim Renacci? They woulda, coulda, shoulda. If they had to run a different candidate, or if he had just spent maybe some money and run one ad over the summer, they might have been different.
well, they're not mad at him, but the Republicans definitely have the view if we'd have had Josh Mandel or Mary Taylor as the candidate and some money, it could have made it more of a race. But on the other hand, Sherrod, since he wasn't threatened, a lot of liberal Democrats didn't feel quite as motivated as much.
He played up to his opposition. He did as much as he needed to do to win the election. But I also think he was positioning himself nationally. Coming out of this campaign and on a national level, in the end, his campaign became more nationalized than a lot of other campaigns.
But 6% in a state like Ohio doesn't look very good when he starts to try and run around the country for president. They're going to say, wait a minute, maybe you're not as strong as you
Well,
think
all
you
the
are.
downstate tickets lost, and he won.
And Trump won Ohio by 8.
And, you know, and the other thing is John Kasich had a landslide victory in 2014, and that didn't help him in his presidential race
Well, I
necessarily.
understand. Of course, 14 he was against a nobody who didn't have a driver's license and other banks.
And was in the
Right.
parking lot with
But
a
then,
woman.
you know, Renacci too had issues beginning with whether or not he was or wasn't endorsed by Trump, which was, you know, Trump said he was, and Renacci was denying it the same day, and repeatedly sort of was waffling on that, and I think that he didn't quite know what to do with Trump support either.
Laura, if you look at the counties in the Mahoning Valley, you know, Youngstown area, went heavily for Trump, most cases. Brown was able to flip those pretty sizably. Do those counties stay blue for the 2020 presidential race?
I think it depends in part on who the Democrats nominate and what their position is on trade and working, you know, worker issues. Honestly, I think that one of the reasons why Sherrod did well in that area is because he kind of agrees with the president on a lot of trade issues.
In 2020, are the Democrats going to have just a liberal candidate, or are they going to have an ultra-liberal candidate? So, and I told Sam earlier before we started, the fisticuffs between the Democrats fighting over the nomination could be somewhat of a repeat that led up to 16 with the Republicans, where you have double-digit numbers
And I
of
told
candidates.
Terry that somebody who's going to come out of the wool that we don't even know about is probably going to be the person that snatches that away. If you want to look at this race and you would want to look at Cordray's race, you have to do another thing. You have to go back and put a perspective on what type of Democrats win statewide. And the last two governors as Democrats who won successfully was Celeste, and that was a particular personality. We had a one-termer, but if you go back, and the environment's a little different. What the Republican Party has done, they know how to deliver votes. The statewide Democratic Party has yet to learn how to deal. And the last point I'll make is, they give too much ground in the rural area. They need to contest those rural areas.
All right, we'll get to more of that in just a moment as we look at the big picture. But first to Congress, Republican lawmakers in 2011 drew congressional districts to withstand wave elections, and those imaginatively drawn districts did just that this year. Across the state, the GOP held every one of their 12 congressional seats. Here in Central Ohio, Democrat Danny O'Connor gave it a good shot, but in the end, he could not turn the very red 12th District blue. In a rematch of the special election in August, Troy Balderson beat O'Connor again, this time by 5 percentage points. Terry Casey, was this their best shot of winning that district under its current map?
Well,
Democrats
Danny had $6 million that he raised totally. He had the money. He vastly outspent Troy, and he obviously worked a good ground game, but the problem was they just couldn't match what they did in the special election when they got close, when Republican turnout was okay for a special, but not that well. But the turnout that happened overall around the state kind of sunk him, and his difficulty again, he won't be able to get the money. 80% of his money came from out of state. He won't be able to get those people on the left and the East Coast to give him that much money in the future.
And plus, Balderson will be a 2-year incumbent, not a 3-month incumbent,
Right.
2 years from now.
But I mean, when Terry mentions the turnout, obviously in a heavily Republican district like that, it was a super long shot for O'Connor.
In the first place.
In the first place. And similarly with the first district down in Cincinnati, the Shabbat district, there looked like a possible
And then that guy ran
chance.
that guy ran into
Herval.
problems late in the
Right.
campaign.
So You know, it just didn't turn out that
Yeah,
the
Ohio
Democrats could do
Ohio
it.
just didn't get its Connor Lamb moment like that guy over in the special district or special election in the district in Pennsylvania,
Right.
Pittsburgh area. Just didn't materialize.
And the blue wave that they kept talking about never really came in Ohio. If anything, except for a few counties, it was a red wave.
I'm waving the flag for the League of Women Voters and the Common Cause, because we have one more election for this madness. And then the next election after that, we'll have new districts in place.
I'm going to get to that in a moment. But O'Connor was counting on the students voting. And I went back and I looked at the Ohio State precincts. And basically it's the north part of campus that's in the 12th district. On average, 30 to 35% turnout in those districts. For a college campus, that's probably pretty good. But it's not enough.
Well, and the percentage of the campus that was in the 12th district was very, very small. So it was an inflated up thing. And in fact, I think in turnout, Athens County was the lowest of the 88 counties or near the lowest. So this mythology that the students are going to rise up and make the big
It's never
difference,
been there.
it's not there.
Well, and there's still this idea that, you know, Ohio voters just don't see the importance of a midterm election. They get it with presidential elections, but, you know, for the most part, we follow this model that Republicans who are more reliable voters tend to always vote higher in midterms, and the Democrats don't come out as much.
But I will make the point, the Democrats in a lot of the races, including the 12th district, outspent, in some cases significantly outspent the Democrats, which normally they complain about, and then turnout, the highest turnout in governor race history.
Jerry, he could have spent his gazillion dollars. And given the way those districts were drawn, he got about as much as he could have gotten out of it.
So that leads to my question. With Republicans dominating the House, the Senate, all the executive offices, I know there are new rules in place. Are you optimistic there will be significantly different maps two elections from now?
After a couple of suits, yes, we will. I don't anticipate on the first run that they're going to do what's right. And I think after maybe 3 or 4 years of litigation, we'll finally get a process that somebody is going to win. The threat to them under the new process is only a 4-year map.
Yeah.
And if you only have a 4-year map, you can't make any political promises over the way. Now, 2 4-year maps doesn't get you 10 years. So, I mean, there's just too much.
Politicians look that far ahead, or is 4 years good enough?
See, they don't. They don't. That's the problem. But they don't like uncertainty, and they want to cut a deal to get uncertainty out of the way. So we know what the certainty. When we put that together, we had a number of things in mind, and one of them was politicians, how they think. So it'll be a good test. Now, I told you, we're going to have to sue them a couple of times to get them to do it right, but eventually they'll do it right.
And there'll be some interesting coalitions because Joyce Beatty and Congresswoman Fudge have some personal interests of how they like them drawn that might be different than what some other Democrats want. So there's going to be some interesting horse trading between Republicans and certain parts of the Democrat caucus.
All right. Topic 4, Ohio voters once again soundly rejected a well-funded campaign to change the state's constitution. Issue 1 would have lessened penalties for low-level drug crimes and required more money for drug treatment, but it lost by a nearly 2-to-1 margin. Sam Gresham, why didn't this issue ever catch on? Prison sentencing reform is big. Drug treatment is obviously a huge story here, but it never caught on.
It was my hope that this would be the one issue that would bring rural America and urban America together, because rural America has suffered disproportionate sentences on small amount of drugs too, but it didn't. And what I felt drove a wedge between them was the amount of money that was spent by private prisons to push this issue away. I also think the urban versus the rural. The urban is willing to accept this component, but the rural is not really yet saying they're like the urban, and we have this problem. I had hoped opioids epidemic would have helped it, but it didn't help in the end.
Well, I'm going to disagree with Sam. I don't know about the private prison people if they put much money in, but the spending, the yes side, mostly out-of-state money from Soros and Facebook folks, outspent them about 12-to-1 in terms of the money. I mean, the no side only had a little bit of TV on in the last week.
But they glommed onto Mike DeWine was their campaign for the first 2 months after the primary. I mean,
And the other Republicans, all the rest of the other Republicans.
They didn't need an opposition.
They didn't need, they had it.
Well, and then at the local level, you had Democrats and Republicans who were judges, who were sheriffs, who were police
Disagreeing,
chiefs, saying this is bad, and then the ballot language when the first sentence is to reduce.
Can I tell you one
But
of the one of the conspiracies that worked was in the black community. Now that people have opiate problems, this is for white people. This is the only reason we get this. I don't know how they spread that madness out there, but they did.
So it wasn't as attractive to African American community
Because they thought it was just for poor white people.
Julie.
Well, I was just going to say that, you know, the fact of the matter is it didn't come up from the grassroots of Ohio. It came in from the outside. We were going to be a test case for figuring out whether this could pass in our state. And I don't think there was enough of a yes campaign aside from just a bunch of money on TV.
Yeah. All right. So go ahead, Laura.
I also think that it was a complex proposal, and I think a lot of voters are suspicious when we want to amend the Constitution. And if it's complex and it's amending the Constitution, they tend to vote no.
And there were some advocates that were urging voting no, like Judge Vandekar from the drug court, who's
Or Paul Coleman, who used to head up Maryhaven. He was very articulate in saying the problems, because he did this thing, he actually read the amendment and realized this is bad.
They liked the spirit, but the details they didn't like. So we have heard sayings for the last 15 years or so, as Ohio goes, so goes the nation. The Buckeye State is the ultimate swing state. But take a look at these maps. The last two competitive governor's races, 2010 on the left and 2018 on the right. Even though 2010 was a wave year for Republicans, there was a fair amount of blue in that map. And this year, a wave year for Democrats elsewhere, there's hardly any blue. Sam Gresham, have we become Indiana, where it takes an upset for a Democrat to win here?
I wish I had seen that map before I knew about this question. No, we have not become blue. We're no longer purple, and God bless us, we're not lavender. Based on this, my read of this election, this is a red state, and it's going to stay red until the Democratic Party builds an infrastructure in some key counties across this state, and they don't concede the rural area to the Republican Party. Fight for every inch of this state, have a presence in every inch of this state, and you build that by creating an infrastructure. Until then, that red map is going to dominate.
I'm going to disagree with Sam, because we're not that red yet, particularly in presidentials, because it's a matter of what are the top national issues. So we're leaning that way, but we're not Indiana or not even close.
Now, if you're asking me, I would have told, you may be right, but I'm going to tell the Democratic leadership, build the infrastructure, work hard on that, and fight for every inch. I don't care what the media says.
Sam, don't tell them that. Don't wise them up.
And the Democratic vote in the state is very high. I mean, we're still very much a swing state in terms of the total numbers. It's a matter of, often a matter of resources. It's a matter of the maps.
Yep.
And so I also agree with Terry that I don't know for sure that we won't flip, for example, in presidential years.
Laura, the problem with these sort of landslide elections or sweep elections is the candidates. There's no up-and-coming candidates. There's no Democrat in the Secretary of State's office or auditor's office who can move up. That's
right, and that's been a problem for the Democrats for the last couple of cycles. Is their farm team is mostly in the cities, in city halls. I think that if you look at the Republicans, they've done a better job moving their people from the legislature into statewide offices and then up from there. And you look at Robert Sprague for treasurer, Frank LaRose for Secretary of State, and Keith Faber in the auditor's office now. And now they're well positioned to, serve multiple terms or switch around to other offices, et cetera.
So who's the next Democratic star, Sam?
They're in Franklin County right now. They're not in Cuyahoga County.
Andy Ginther?
There are a smattering of people who you can see positioning themselves. There are one or two in Hamilton, but they're not like Laura just described. They're not being positioned. I call it a political infrastructure, and you have home team that comes up from the counties.
But it doesn't hurt a person like Kathleen Clyde, for example, to have run this race and to gotten her name out there. She could run again.
Steve Dettelbach
could run again, et cetera. It doesn't hurt.
Only trouble, it's a long time from 18 to 22, and people forget, and who knows where the issues will be in 22.
Tell that to Richard Cordray. He was a statewide leader 8 years ago and didn't work out for him this time. All right, time now for our record off the record Comments? Final thoughts? Sam Gresham, you're up first.
The drug issue is not going away. I hear chatter already in the General Assembly. We need to do some reform, and I expect that in the next couple of years we will see some reform.
Terry.
The 7% ticket tax is still bobbing around at City Hall. We now found out they could tax OSU tickets and the Blue Jackets don't want it. My prediction is they'll try and do a compromise to only 5%. But my second part of the prediction, there'll be a referendum, and when people are given a chance to vote on a tax on movies and family events, I don't think they'll like it very much.
Julie.
Even though we have a same party governor coming in January, the lame duck is going to be very interesting. Yesterday we had the governor say that he will veto stand your ground legislation if it comes to him, and there could be a lot of other bills that they try to get through that maybe come up against Kasich on his way out.
And the new legislator, or the current legislative leaders, I think they're going to make it harder for citizens to put forth ballot issues, which is interesting because a lot of the major policy changes in Ohio, like the minimum wage, casino gambling, indoor smoking ban, those all bubbled up through the ballot process.
Okay. Issue coming soon, I predict sports betting in the next 6 months, if not sooner. And if you want even more politics, if you have not had enough, we've got a great event coming up this week. It's the latest in the dialogue series that WOSU does in partnership with the John Glenn College of Public Affairs. Tuesday night, I'll moderate a dialogue on the 2018 election, what happened, what it means. That's Tuesday night at OSU's Fawcett Center. More info at wosu.org/dialogue. That'll do it for Columbus on the Record this week. Check us out online. We're on Facebook, Twitter. You can get each episode on demand at our website, wosu.org/COTR. For our crew and for our panel, I'm Mike Thompson. Have a good week.